welcome to this very special episode of Digital India Summit. It's a special initiative by Times Network, and this year's theme is Enabling a Revolution. Now, today on this very special episode, I will be talking about a different kind of revolution that's been enabled by technology around the world and the impact that is happening in India. We're talking about the evolution of India's hybrid workplace. The workplace has completely changed in these last 2 years. Are we working from home? Are we living at work? Are we back to work? There's a lot of talk happening. There are many companies now who are talking about a hybrid workplace. So to talk a little bit about that, to tell us about what's happening in that space, I have a very special guest. I have Santosh Martin. He's the Chief Revenue Officer at WeWork India. Hi, Santosh. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I want to talk to you about the workplace, how it's evolved. There are some industry reports that say that, the flexible space segment might grow at an average of about 15-20% year on year. So clearly hybrid workspaces are now in demand. And if such reports are to be believed, is it true that co-working spaces will dominate the office culture in India in the next few years? What's your take on this? And more importantly, why do you think this sudden shift, this evolution has happened?
Firstly, before I speak about the future, let me take a few minutes to talk about the industry pre-pandemic. So until 2019, most of the large enterprise companies were moving towards consolidation, right? So while earlier you had multiple offices spread across a city, they were then looking to set up a large single campus to get all their employees together. Now, this had a lot of advantages, right? From having all of them under one roof, build a stronger culture, company culture, allowing for collaboration and teamwork, and also reduce the cost impact of managing multiple offices. Now, managing multiple offices had its own disadvantages. You had to have your own team to manage those offices. So getting them all into one consolidated campus was the way forward. What the pandemic definitely did was to turn this upside down. Right? For all the same reasons, companies now have realized the advantages of having multiple smaller offices in a city. Now, this is the future of work, and it's flexible. Firms are reassessing their workplace requirements and work models. And this massive shift towards flexibility is driven by, emergence of new styles of working among businesses of all sizes. It could be a small company with 10 people to 100 people. It could be large companies having, tens and thousands of people. They provide stronger work-life balance, accessibility to convenient locations, and new buzzwords like agility, collaboration, hub and spoke models have taken precedence. Now, as per a recent joint report that came from Colliers and QDesk, flexible workspaces stock is expected to cross about 60 million square feet in metros and non-metro cities by 2023. Now, that's a huge jump from what we saw in 2019. Now, as occupiers embrace this flexibility in their work models. Now, while work from home has been the norm over the last couple of years, we've also come to realize the effect this has on mental health due to isolation and loneliness. Now, we all know, and Sumit, you know this best, right, that human beings need to interact face to face. Now, the flexible workplaces has the potential to address this issue, right? More and more working professionals, for example, are looking for companies that offer them greater flexibility, and that there is a need for workplaces to keep up with this demand. Now, with WeWork's flexible workplaces, enterprise and organizations of all sizes are able to adapt to a more sustainable work model with the added benefits of customization, keeping safety, hygiene, healthy work-life balance as a top priority. And I see that being the future of work.
And Santosh, one important part becomes it also brings in convenience, because as a business, and the business is just focusing on doing their business, these kind of managing office, and that is a big task for the admin teams.
Absolutely.
It's kind of outsource. Somebody else is managing. My team can be 5 people in one part of, say, Bengaluru, and 50 people in another part of Bengaluru, but it's not my headache.
Right.
Just, one observation to what you said is, because this is also happening not just in like large corporates, but even small startups or just startups that are beginning. Now, the important thing of this is, besides convenience, agility, all of those that you mentioned, it's also helping them talk about, collaboration, networking. It's a whole different community that is out there at co-working spaces. Wanting to get your insights on that. How are you, in your experience at WeWork, how are you seeing this being an important role for customers that do come takes place at co-working spaces?
See, I think networking has always been a priority, right? I mean, not just, I mean, even if you're an employee of a Google, for example, right? I mean, you want people to come into the office to network, to collaborate, to, work in a team, and you can work with amongst multiple teams as well. And I think what these flexible collaborative workspaces has given today is a potential to address that, right? I mean, physically being present in an office environment need not be in an office of your own office, but it could be an office closer to home. You're not just working from home all the time. You're getting into an office that you can get your teams together and collaborate. The networking piece, like you said, is very, very important, right? And WeWork's community is our strong point, right? It's important to make people feel like they're a part of a bigger community, even though you won't go to your own office. Now, as a global footprint that we have, we strive to create a space where companies, employees, and people grow together, and not just professionally, but also personally, right? It also, enables members to connect, and it could be different members. You could be in one company, but you're collaborating with another company, being in the same office, and creating, meaning or work together through shared workspaces. And I see that being a large part of what we are building today.
Another part that I want to talk to you about at any co-working space now is the role of digitization technology. That is definitely playing a big part there. And it's obviously influenced the way people would like to work now as opposed to 2 years ago or even before. How are flexible workspaces also kind of using this to help promote maybe innovation in the way that people meet, the way that people work? Any thoughts on that?
What has really happened in the last 2 years is that, the demand from not just enterprises, but small companies, like you said, have changed, right? And this could be not just necessarily meaning that you have a desk space to sit in and work out of, right? And most of them are sitting in odd desks today. They don't have a dedicated desk even in their own office. And what we've really built over the last 18 months is a lot of products that actually meet these new demands of these companies. And, we launched a few new products in the last 18 months. One of those was the on-demand pass, which is a day pass that we provide to companies or to employees, or to even a single person in a organization that can come in, use the day pass to go into any of our buildings. And this is all completely digitalized online, that you go to the website, you book a day pass, select a building of your choice, and go to that building and use that for a day. You get a key card only for that day. Now, what we've seen over the last 12 months is there's been a big uptick in that take-up, right? And you could be working for a large organization, but you're using this on a personal basis to go and use an office space, essentially to get out of the house, use a work environment, do your calls, video conference or whatever, and also use it for external meetings as well. Now, that was the on-demand piece. We also launched the virtual office offering, which is to get an office space for your GST registration or any of those purposes, to set up an office in a WeWork address. And that, we've seen a lot of companies from tier 2 and tier 3 markets who still want an office in a tier 1 market, right? You could be sitting out of, say, Ahmedabad, but you want an office in Bombay. You could be sitting in Mysore, but you want an office address in Bangalore. And we've seen a large uptick with that take up as well. We've also launched an all access product, which is essentially that, you can use your access card as a member today sitting out of, say, a Bengaluru, but you can access any of my 35 buildings across India, but also globally. So that access card allows you to go to any office that we have across the world. We've seen that because of the pandemic and, you're not aligned to one building or one location today, you can actually go out and use any of our offices, and allows you to basically go to the office that's closest to your home, or when you travel, you are a salesperson, you travel, you go into an office to work out of. And these 3 products have seen a really definite uptake in the last 12 months.
So is there a marked difference in the services that WeWork is providing pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? I mean, as an organization, as a co-working space, are you reimagining things which you might have not considered 2 years ago?
So traditionally, we've been in the co-working business. That's, and that was the name that was given to this industry, right? But co-working doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling a desk per month, right? We were also doing startups, freelancers, but we're also doing a large amount of enterprise clients. 60% of our portfolio today is occupied by enterprise clients, and they could be anywhere between 100 seats to 1,500 to 2,000 seats. Now, while that has been the traditional play, we actually cater to all segments, right? So we do co-working, we do enterprise within our buildings. We also do what we call as managed offices, right? Where we take up a building of the choice of the client, build it completely customized to their brief and their design specs, and we operate and manage that space for them. So we straddle all three segments. Now, with that, we've also augmented by these new digital products that I mentioned earlier. So now we actually can do anything from a day pass to a 5-year deal with a client that allows them to have a completely customized solution.
Is it safe to assume that the way ahead there will be a strong preference for larger organizations to invest in co-working spaces? By way of invest, I mean go in for those rather than setting up their own offices?
Sumit, I think on a general outlook that companies will look to optimize their real estate holding. Increasingly, we're seeing that companies will have at least 20 to 30% of their portfolio in the flexible segment, while 60 to 70% would be their own office space. You would put at least 30% of that into the flexible segment. Now, as employees return to work, there'll be a case for roster systems where they'll work for a certain number of days in the office and the rest either from home or work closer to home. We'll continue to see employees and companies invest in the well-being of their employees, higher safety protocols, safe environments, and etc. We'll also see demand from employees to reduce commute time, thereby providing a better work-life balance. Now, as employees need all of this, companies will start looking at doing multiple smaller offices that cater to these requirements of the employees. Obviously, retention with this large the great resignation that's going on, retention of top talent will continue to be a high priority for companies. Now, if you look at all these factors, are the reason why companies will start to invest in co-working spaces for future workflow.
I just want to go back to a point that you made when we started the conversation, and you said about how there's growth even in tier 2, tier 3 cities. We're not just talking about the metros, growth of co-working spaces, flexible workspaces. So because again, during the pandemic, a large portion workforce moved back home. They moved away from the metros, and many have stayed back and are continuing there. So how are you seeing this shift making an impact on hybrid workspaces, on maybe some of WeWork's future plans?
That's very true. A large, segment of the employees have gone back to their hometowns, led to a scattered workforce for most companies. And I think a large part of the flexible workspace providers now have started looking at tier 2 and tier 3 markets. Definitely an increased supply has come in over the last 2 years in these markets without actually compromising on the experience of the employees or the buildings that they choose to be in. We are providing customized solutions, like I said, to most of our members today in the cities that we are in. And WeWork as a company have come up with this, like I said, the managed office business, where we are open to going to any new market outside of the 36 locations that we are in, or the 6 cities that we are in, that meet the member and the client requirements. We've seen an increased demand from our existing member base towards tier 2 markets, and we're working closely with these members to meet that demand. I think most of these tier 2 markets currently have a lot of these service providers today, and they are catering to these to the demand, and we'll also be in these markets soon.
Santosh, of course, the pandemic was a game changer for everyone, as must have been for you also. Of course, occupancy levels were down at that time. How are the occupancy levels right now compared to pre-pandemic? Do you have some kind of numbers that you could enlighten us with?
Yeah, so obviously with the COVID phase, to a second wave, there was definitely a move out of offices. People didn't renew their leases and all of that. But I think because we were largely enterprise driven, most of them continue to keep their offices. We ended last year with a 72% sold occupancy, which is great for in that market, in the market that we were in. We are definitely seeing a lot more people coming back to office, whether it's small companies or large companies. Most companies are now put a mandate for employees to return to an office, for all the reasons that I mentioned before, right? I mean, they see the advantages of them coming back to office, whether it's 2 days or 3 days in a week. There is a lot more productivity and collaboration that happens, which obviously helps the company. And we'll see that continuing to grow, right? A lot more newer companies are now embracing the flexible model. We are definitely seeing that uptick in our business, and also existing members growing exponentially over the last 2 years.
And I think, what you said also about companies asking employees to come back to work, that is also helping largely on the mental health aspect. And I know, like, again, we were discussing earlier, just coming in a physical space, interacting with people. And I think with co-working spaces, in a way, the good part is you're interacting with people from different organizations also in that same space. It just adds a lot. But are you seeing those continuing to make a great impact with customers, with people that are coming to and taking place there, taking space?
Absolutely. I mean, we used to do a lot of this physical events and community gatherings pre-pandemic, and now we've got a lot of members asking for that to happen again. We've started that a lot in the last 2 or 3 months. And members are demanding for it. Employees are demanding for it, right? I think overall, we will see that going up because people want not just to come to an office to work, right? They want to see a lot more benefits from going to an office space. And we are at the forefront of providing that to our members.
Santosh, when we talk about the clients that are taking up space, the sectors, the industries that they work in, of course, this growth is being led by IT, ITES, and BFSI sectors. But are you seeing other sectors also an uptick, that other industries are also opening up or accepting co-working spaces, hybrid working spaces for their employees?
Absolutely. The IT and ITS sector is a large occupiers of India, right? So that's one piece of the business that will continue to grow. Like I said earlier, we've seen a large increase in our enterprise members in the last 12 months. That's increased by about 10%. So we are now at about 60%. But we cater to companies like Tata Sky Broadband, right, who've taken a lot of space with us across the market. We've done law firms like Kaitan and Company. We've done old industrial houses like 3M. We've done, international property consultants like Colliers. So we've seen a lot of demand from other than IT and ITS companies as well to embrace the co-working space. So it straddles all businesses and all industries.
Great. So the way ahead, can we, 2 parts. First, I want to know about WeWork India's plans. What are some of your plans for the way ahead? And then I'll come to you on the larger industry perspective. But first, if you could tell me about WeWork India.
We currently, Sumit, we have 36 buildings across NCR, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, right? With over 5 million square feet, about 65,000 operational desks. We leased close to about 1.8 million square feet of office space just last year to our members. This year, we're going to add another 25,000 desks spread over almost close to 2 million square feet. Over 50% of this is pre-committed by our existing members, not just in the cities that we are in, but growing outside of those cities. And these companies are growing exponentially. We'll definitely enter 2-3 new markets in the next 12 months. We remain committed to offering our members flexible and cost-effective solutions that meet not just their short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And the future of work is flexible. And I think we at WeWork is at the forefront of leading that industry. We'll continue to grow, and our plan over the next 3 years is to get to about 200,000 desks, and we are, in the right paths to meet that demand.
And Santosh, what about the industry? Because as the industry is growing, of course, competition is growing. There are players in the space, and as the overall space grows, more players will be attracted to this and come in. So are you worried about competition, or are you definitely seeing WeWork as 2 steps ahead of the competition? And How do you see the overall market develop? Maybe the next year or the next 2 3 years. I don't know, whatever benchmark you want to choose to answer.
We straddle all service lines to meet the demands of the members, both existing as well as new members. So we do anywhere from a day pass to, like I said, to 2,000 seats for a customized solution for a client. I don't think most people do that. They focus on one piece of the business, whether it's managed office or really co-working. We do all of those pieces. And the new products that we launched in the last 12 to 18 months has really put us in the forefront of the innovation piece of the industry. And competition is good. I mean, because it's a large industry. Like I said, 15 to 20% of the new take up year on year will be in the co-working business. We have about 15-20% of the market share today on the organized sector in the 6 markets that we have, and we'll continue to grow that. Right? I mean, the industry will be a billion square feet by 2025, and if the co-working industry is 15% and we have 20% of that, that's good enough for as a business for us. On the industry level, like I said earlier, I think 20 to 30% of the portfolio will be in the flexible service segment. Companies will start to look at how they can optimize cost, optimize their growth. The flexible industry gives them the option to actually expand or contract as the business grows. So somebody can take 100 seats today in a WeWork, but we cater to their growth in that building or in the vicinity over the period of growth. So if somebody wants another 100 seats, you can cater to that. But having said that, if they want to make that 150 tomorrow, they can actually do that with a service provider like us. So we'll see a lot of that industry moving towards the flexible service providing service industry, and there is enough demand to go around. So I think industry is moving towards it. We are in the forefront of that, and we'll continue to lead the industry in how we can manage the unique demands of the members.
Santosh, just before I let you go, last piece of advice or anything else that you would want to tell our viewers about the co-working space. What should they keep in mind as they are observing the co-working space for the way ahead?
Last piece of advice, I think most of the employees today are driving the demand, right? As against just the companies doing that. Earlier, it was companies making a decision on a building, and then the employees are made to go there. But today, I think the employees are driving a lot of that, right? Whether it's a great resignation, whether it's the retention of talent, people have so many options today. And I think employees want an environment that, improves productivity, makes them happy in a work environment. And I think we provide that today, right? And I see a lot of employees driving that decision today. And so I think that'll be the way forward.
Fantastic. So for companies, it's not just about listening to the customers. It's also now even more important to listen to the employees. Thank you so much, Santosh, for talking to us. This was a Digital India Summit. Thank you so much for watching.